ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very happy to see you again, and I'm very happy to see their participants from all 5 continents, because the coaches from Pan America is also joining us. We have coaches from United States, Peru, Guatemala, also Indonesia, India, South Africa, Morocco. Lot of very international activity. Martin, thank you very much for managing this content for the 4th seminar, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Christians. First, I will share, of course, my screen. Okay, so today I want to discuss with you a little bit on how I always are preparing my daily practice from a year plan. In the first seminar a couple of weeks ago, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, we started to explain how you do planning in high performance. And in fact, you do that exactly the same on lower levels as well. But of course, when you have a nice planning, then it's important to translate your plan also to a daily practice. And that's what we are going to do today. At least I will show you how I do these kind of things. And then we can discuss this. Maybe it will give you some ideas. Maybe you have better ideas. We don't know. But at least when you are coaching in sport, and also, of course, in badminton, then it's your task to deliver every day the best possible training for all of your players in your practice. And that's not an easy job. It's really a puzzle, because there are a lot of factors involved. And just to talk about that is, what do you need to consider? And for me, there are 5 pillars which I consider it important for my daily practice. First of all is the duration of the complete training for one session. Sometimes I see that the players are practicing 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. But I have a certain ideal of the duration of the practice. Secondly, how to distribute the available time on different subjects. Then, of course, the level of play and the age of players is important. I think the aspect of motor learning is really important, and I will touch 2 subjects on this, which I think are very important in your daily practice. Of course, we will talk a little bit about the content of the training. We will talk about work and rest ratio. So how long do you work? How long do you need to rest? Things like that. And in the end, we will see something a little bit about organization. So if I look to my training, I've got in my screen over here. Yeah, I have to put this away. This is better, I think. If you look over here, my training time ideal is around 2.5 to 2 hours 45 minutes. That's the time I need to spend with my players on court in a training session. And in this schedule, you see a little bit how I divide it. I've got 10% of those 2 hours 30 minutes, 2 hours 45 minutes. 10% is warming up. That's around 50 minutes. Cooling down, it's also around 10%, 50 minutes. I always have reserved some time for what I call extras, and we will see later what these extras is. And then I've got, most of the time, I've got 2 main subjects in my practice. And one of them, I will call that core 1. So core 1, 37%, that's around 55, 60 minutes, some things like that. And over here again, 50 minutes, between, let's say, between 50 and 60 minutes. That's always core 1 and core 2. So then, of course, the level of the players is important. And level of players, but also the age of the players. And maybe not the calendar age, but the biological age of players. How far are they matured? And I think it was in the first or in the second session we were talking about my idea of talent development, and you see that over here again. This is the way I think players are developing in badminton, at least in if you look at ages on this side for girls, ages for boys on this side, at least in the western part of Europe. We saw when we did this a few weeks ago that maybe in Indonesia or in the east part of Europe, or maybe in South America, it's a little bit different in age groups. But this is the way players need to develop. And over here, I've got exactly the same colors. But what you see over here is not everybody is starting when he is 6 or 7 years old. Some of them are starting when they are 9 or 10 years old, some even later, 12, 13 years old, and sometimes even still later than 13 years. So they come into your practice when they are 14 years old, 13, 14 years, 12, 13 years, 9, 10 years. But in the end, you have to try to achieve the optimum result with all of them. So what I did in this figure is try to explain that, okay, you start with fundamentals over here, and over here. And the next phase is learning to train, the yellow part. But you see already over here in this part that it's becoming less than over here. And in fact, the phase where you do the training to train, the green part, is not over here anymore. You also see that the phase where you do the training to compete is the biggest one. That's the blue one over here. But you see, of course, where you start very late, a shift also later. So training to win with these type of players, you do that later in their age. And that's, I think, important for filling in your daily practice. So not only look at where your players are at the moment, but also what they need to develop and in what stage of development they are. That's important for the content of your practice. I'm not sure about the outcome over here. I have seen players starting quite late and came into the, let's say, top 25 of the world in doubles and even in singles. I have seen players starting over here and they were burned out when they were 15 years old and stopped playing. So something went wrong over there. So I'm not sure what the, let's say, the most, the most favorable way, the most favorable age is to start your practice. And of course, if you can do that as long as possible, then probably the best success will be over here. But it's still possible for these players also to get high rankings in the world. Then we talk about motor learning. And if you go into the level 2 BWF coaching courses, then you see something about blocked learning, serial learning, and random learning. And I just give an example over here. If you have 4 weeks over here, and every week you've had 2 sessions, and apparently this is not for top level players, but with top level players, it works exactly the same. if you talk about blocked learning, then you say, okay, in the first week you do backend service, backend service. In the second week we do netlob, netlob. The third week, forehand smash, forehand smash. And in the fourth week we do block defense, block defense. And this is just an example. So what we're trying to learn is backend service, netlob, forehand smash, block defense. And in the end, in week 5, we hope that players have learned this and this and this and this. That's what we call block learning. Then we talk about serial learning. And then we do in week 1, 2, 3, and 4, we do and the backend service and the netlob and the forehand smash and the block defense. And we do that for, let's say, if you've got 2 hours of practice or 1 hour of practice, you do 15 minutes the backhand service, 15 minutes the netlob, 15 minutes the forehand smash, and 15 minutes the block defense. Week 2, you do exactly the same. Week 3, exactly the same. Week 4, exactly the same. That's what we call serial learning. Then we've got another way of learning, and we do in this week 20 times 6 minutes. We do all the skills, and we do all the skills the exact same amount of time. So if we do 24 minutes the backhand service, we also do 24 minutes the netlob, 24 minutes the forehand smash, 24 minutes the block defense. But we do it at random. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, but it can be 1, 3, 2, 4, or whatever. So just spread it around your practice. And of course, players will learn over here, players will learn over there, and they learn over here as well. In the end, we see that players are learning the best with this type of motor learning, random learning. So if we all skills at random in every practice, but at least give attention to all skills the same amount of time. And then we see the best results with this kind of learning, random learning. The second thing what I think what's important to fill in your daily practice is what it's called in motor learning contextual interference. And in fact, I have a small example over here, and that's a really an easy example, but just an example. If you want to learn a drop shot, you can put a feeder over here and somebody over here, he's playing a drop shot. And I do the forehand drop shot, right-handed player, forehand drop shot, netlob, forehand drop shot, netlob. You can also do it in a different way. Say, okay, I play a drop shot, the feeder is playing more or less to the middle over here. I'm running to that side, play back. Feeder is coming again with a lob, run to this side again, and I play a drop shot again. People learn more and faster when they do it in this way. And this is what we call contextual interference. So the context of what you want, what your skill to practice is, the context is changing every time. So I go out and I go in again, play the drop shot. I go out and I go in again. And of course you can make a lot of variations. Instead of playing over here, you can play over there, you can play over there. So then you make your, coming to your forehand drop shot, what you want to learn, every time you make that different to play that. And why is this better? Because we think at the moment, and scientific proof is not there at the moment, is that it triggers your motor brain more when you go out and in, out and in. Also your motor memory is far more stimulated. So the way you produce your drop shot is longer remembered in your mind as well. So these types of these aspects of motor learning, I think, are very, very important for the way I have to fill in my daily practice. And then we go to the content of the training. Huh? If we saw, if we did see already this, we saw that we have a warming up and we have a cooling down. This over here and over here, we've got some extras, and we have two main items in the practice. So we go to the warming up, and of course we do badminton moves, we do running, we do chessy steps, we do skipping, we do kinds of jumps, whatever. We always go from big parts of the body to small parts, and we do dynamic stretching. And I want to pay attention, a little bit more attention to stretching, because a lot of things are said about stretching. But at the moment, from research, we know that stretching is not preventing injuries. Stretching gives you no better recovery. Stretching improves flexibility. If you stretch for 2 minutes, then you've got 10 minutes more flexibility in your joints. If you stretch 4 to 6 minutes, then you've got 60 minutes more flexibility. We also know that static stretch decreases strength. So, first of all, why should I stretch? And secondly, why should I do, if this is going down, why should I do static stretch in my warming up? Because I need a little bit strength in my practice, in my training. So never in the warming up static stretching. Some people are saying that dynamic stretching is improving results. We don't know that at all. So that about stretching. In the cooling down, jogging, again, big to small, and now we can do static stretch. Then we saw that I'm also using some extra time in my practice. I can do over there technical training, always individual. If I want to do something, I can use it also to play some matches. I can use it to do some core stability or whatever. But I want to always reserve some time in my practice to do something, to have time to do something. Also what I see of what I miss when I'm in my training. Then we come to the content of the training. So the two main items in your training, core 1 and core 2. First of all, we all know that badminton is a physical sport. And that's why I think the two items in your practice, core 1 and core 2, should always be a combination of physical with technical, tactical, and mental. And if you do it really in a really good way, then all those 4 components should be inside both of those main subjects of your practice. And of course, the physical demand of your practice, of your training, is depending on the physical cycle where you're in. Are you in your competition phase? Are you pre-competition, preparation, or are you recovery? We saw already when we were doing planning a couple of weeks ago that the physical demands for recovery or for preparation are different than for pre-competition and competition. What I always do in my practice, the duration of my physical exercises are at least between 30 and 60 minutes, because I think that's a match length. So that's what we need. We are practicing to play matches. We are practicing to play matches in badminton. Now, matches are let's say the average length of a match is between 30 minutes and 60 minutes, and sometimes, of course, it's shorter. But for let's say more or less standard match length is about 30 minutes till 60 minutes. Then sometimes you want to do learning of new skills in your practice. Then you don't want to be players tired on court, so no fatigue. I always do that in the first part of my practice. So after the warming up, I start with learning new skills. But sometimes you also want to learn them to apply new skills. If you want to do that with not tired players, you do that in core 1. If you do it in core 2, then it's under stress. And that's also important to apply, of course, because also in the third game, players, when they are tired, players have to show their new learned skills as well. So sometimes you do that in core 1, sometimes you do that in core 2. And then about the work rest ratio, the figures I'm always using. If I practice aerobic low, high, but aerobic, ready time is between 1 and 7 minutes, repetitions 2 to 15. Of course, if I do 7 minutes, I don't have 15 repetitions, but I could have 15 repetitions when I have 1 minute. The recovery break between the rallies, 15 seconds till 30 seconds. Series, so if I have 5 repetitions, then I can do, for instance, 2 series, or 3 series, or 4 series. And of course, when I have a ready time of 7 minutes, I do not have 15 repetitions and I do not have 4 series. So you have to at least try to make it reasonable to get this point. And now I have to go to this point. The total time should always be between 30 and 60 minutes. And of course, that's because of the total match time, 30, 60 minutes. So if you make a combination of rally time, repetition, and series in low or high aerobic, it should always be around 30, 60 minutes in total. After every series, I have a break of 90 seconds. Why 90 seconds? Because that's what we have in badminton as well. If there's a break, it's a break of 90 seconds, 1.5 minutes. And then the umpire is calling players on court. So don't give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever. Exceptions we will see later over here. If we go a little bit higher in intensity, aerobic and anaerobic, it's between 25 seconds, 45 seconds, 10 repetitions, 10 to 15 repetitions. Recovery, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. 3 to 4 series, and again, series pause over here. Why I want this quite short? Because it's also taking about 15 to 20 seconds before the new rally is starting. So I don't want to give players after a rally of 25, 30 seconds also 1 minute break, because that's also not happening in matches. So it should be like this. If I go to intensity training, anaerobic training, rally time shorter, repetitions the same, recovery low, not more than 20 seconds, 3 to 4 series, and again, this one. Then we come to really max, 10 to 12 seconds, 3 to 5 repetitions, longer breaks now, because you cannot do this, let's say 5 times in a row without having a break of 45 seconds to 1 minute. Because really, when you go for your max, your body needs to recover. And you see that also in matches. when there's a very, very intense, a couple of intense rallies after each other, then players are taking more time. They go out to get their sweat off their faces, to towel their hands or whatever. So it will take a little bit more time. Series over here, again, 3 to 5. 30 pause, 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And again, total time, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And of course, you can make combinations from here to there, from here to there, not from here to there. So not aerobic and then go to max, but go over here, go over there, and go over there. Total time, always 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Okay, so those were the, let's say, the factors I consider for my daily practice. And what you see here is the year plan we made in the first session a couple of weeks ago. I have exactly the same example. And in this circle for this player, you see. Let's get this away. Yeah, I've got May and June over here, so that's week 19, 20, 21, 22. So the week starts at 6, 13, 20, 27 May, and so on. And you see that for this player, we had long-term process goals: consistency, mid-court, flat defense, variations from the back of the court, variations in drop shot. We had on middle term, change of rhythm, patience, net strokes, and defense over here. So that's what over here. And we see over here the preparation 1, preparation 2, pre-competition, competition phase. There was no possibility to recover, and the ones who were on that first seminar, they know why it was over there like this, but there was no possibility to recover. So these are the main things we need to practice with this player. And now we will go to an example how to make that practice. And for training week 21, and training week 21 is this week. Again, this away, this week. So it starts on the 20th of June, and we see it's in the pre-competition phase. Yeah. We also see that there is something like change of rhythm and patience. We also want to work on variation from the back, variation in drop shots, defense and consistency, and we see defense over here as well. So from here, we need to make the daily practice with the factors we just mentioned ago. So physical, it's in the pre-competition phase, so we should do aerobic and anaerobic practice, quite intense, pre-competition. Technical, defense and variation from the back. Tactical, change of rhythm. And if we talk about patience, that's more or less also a mental part. So these are in fact the top items I got from my yearly plan into my practice. So now it's easy. We do a normal warming up with running, with chassis steps, with jumps. We do dynamic stretch exercises. I've got a couple of examples over here, but go on the internet, type in Google, type dynamic stretch exercises, and you see a lot of stretching exercises to use. So that's easy to find, but try to use exercises in your dynamic stretches, also complying with badminton moves. If you see over here, twisting your upper body, that's what we do as well, huh? For your forehand, for your backhand, twist your upper body. We do lunges to the net, to the sides, whatever. So you can do this in your dynamic stretch exercises as well. Stretch your back, lift your knees. That's what we do with jumps. So try to find dynamic stretch exercises compared to the movements we have in badminton. After the warming up, and again, this should be away. After warming up, we go to my physical, technical, tactical part. And as we saw, it should be aerobic, anaerobic. So I have chosen for 2 against 1, whole court. So here are the 2 feeders. I also give some restrictions, maybe not restrictions, but I tell player from this point, I want you to do or a forehand cross drop shot, or a forehand clear, or a forehand stick smash. Why am I saying that? Because we saw over here variation from the back, variation in drop shots. So I try to combine that. So in this exercise, 1 against 2, I give this player the task to play or the drop shot, or the forehand clear straight, or the stick smash. And of course, 1 and 3 are with intention to score. So it's immediately changing rhythm as well. That was also one of the things we need to practice with this player. So physically, it's according to the training cycle from preparation, pre-competition, competition, and recovery. Again, we are talking about contextual interference because he has to run the whole court and then is coming in and needs to produce one of these strokes, and he needs to decide. Can I go for a cross drop? Can I go for a stick smash? Or am I so late that I have to play a high clear? And that has also a little bit to do with being patient. We see a lot of players, when they do these type of exercises, okay, they are running and the shuttle is still behind them, and they try to play the stick smash, they try to play the forehand cross drop, instead of, oh, wait a moment, I'm too late, just play it high up. But again, if you go for a stick smash and if you go for the cross drop, then it's change of rhythm, technical variations. Then I go to my second item in the practice, defense in singles. We saw that also in the over here, defense, and we saw it over here as well, defense in this part of the year. So we go for defense again. I'm choosing for one player against 2, whole court, 3 times, 7 minutes, 1 against 2, whole court. Oh, by the way, over here, I have chosen for 3 times 10 rallies of 30 seconds with 15 seconds rest. Over here, I'm choosing 3 times 7 minutes, 1 against 2, whole court, and then of course the rest is 90 seconds. All defense variations, and try to outplay the net player. So this player needs to decide, I can block or I need to lift. So when can I outplay this player? I have to be patient, I have to be consistent, and I have to play tactical. So probably when I play up over here, this player is coming more to this side. So when I defend, I have to defend over there. And when I see that this player is not really really focused on it, and I've got the chance to take over. So again, physically, according to the cycle, it's the contextual interference over here, because I have to go forward, backwards, and after that play defense. I give this player the possibility to do the technical variations with blocks, straight, cross, but also high up straight and high up cross. So the choice of return is a tactical choice. I come to the extras in my practice. In this case, because it was, as you could see, and again over here, it was week 21. It's the last week before the competition. So if I go for the extras, I'm choosing for play singles close to the competition. I want to do that with different opponents, so that again, I come in different situation where I need to find solutions as a player. And again, I can give my player I'm practicing with, I can give him the task to do something from this corner. And of course, now there are not two players on that side, just one player in the extra, but we didn't schedule a court over here. But we can also say from this side, okay, or you play high up, or you play the cross drop, or the stick smash. And of course, then I have to coach him as a coach on his choice of return. And then we go for the last part, of course. Yeah, normal cooling down, as you all know. And now it's possible to do static stretch. And again, you've got some examples over here, but go to the internet and you see more and more of that. Then to conclude this seminar, but these items are also important. The main focus was today, how do I get from a year plan to my daily practice? And I showed you for one example how I'm doing that. But there's also some kind of organization. So, of course, when you are working with a group of players, you put more or less the same players who are in the same physical cycle, in the same part of the physical cycle, you put them together. But then still it's possible to change in that physical practice. It's still possible. It's still possible to give with another player another task over here. When, for instance, this player, I've chosen him to do the drop shots from this side, but there could be a player who should be more stronger on the net, and the focus is more on net. Then you will tell them, okay, play in the back and then play to the net, and he has to come to the net and play a net shot or play a short net shot or a net drop or a net lob, whatever. So within this exercise, you can make a lot of differentiation for different players. in last seminar 1.5 weeks ago, we saw that there are different personalities. So for you as a coach, you also need to take that into account as well, so that you make a group of players who are able to cooperate with each other. And of course, it's important for you as a coach how to coach them. And of course, and that's, I think, the practical part. We always have new shuttles, used shuttles. Yeah, in a lot of exercises, we are using used shuttles. But if you really want to go for a technical practice, then you're going for new shuttles. So if in this exercise over here, you want to go for a good drop shot or a stick smash, then you have to do these type of exercises with new shuttles, not with used ones, because the used ones are not really flying like the let's say the new ones. Of course, you have to be very didactic to approach your players, and of course you need to choose for multi-shuttles, multi-feeding, ready play, or whatever. In this case, because of it was close to the competition, I have chosen for 1 against 2. It's more game-like than multi-feeding. So in this way, I'm preparing my practice from day to day from my year plan. So, okay, I hope I gave you some kind of information, maybe some kind of ideas of how to do it yourself, and maybe you've got other ideas as well. Christians.
Yes, I'm here, and I'm waiting for first comments or questions, because at the moment we have not any question in our chats, or also no questions in YouTube channel. But I see a lot of experienced coaches there. Maybe you can share your experience as well. So, Jose Antonio, you have a question? Jose, you have a question? No. So, Malik Basari, please.
Hi, thank you so much for the courses given. So I have a questions regarding about the preparations 1 and preparations 2. I just wants to know a little bit much more details, the difference between the preparations 1 and preparations 2 in your annual planning program. So and what is the benefits of, or what are the details of the preparations 1 and preparations 2 that we can focusing at?
Yeah, then I need to go back to the first seminar a couple of weeks ago, I think. Christians, maybe it's better that I give this information to him personal on email. Because that's more planning than it's something else, huh?
Yeah.
You can also answer if you can.
Okay, then wait, I'll have to find something on my computer, then I can show it to you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Because today we have a lot of also new coaches.
Okay.
Our new colleagues from Pan America, for example, not only.
Yeah, give me a few seconds, then I can find it.
And yes, Jose, you can write your question in our chat group if there is a problem with your audio. It's not problem.
No, I think it is okay now. So after this question, I can try.
Okay.
I think audio is okay now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's here now. You can see this one?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the year plan, and I said, okay, there was a preparation period 1, preparation 2, pre-competition, competition, and if you go to the literature, it's also called the early training stage, the late training phase, pre-competition, competition. And over here, you've got the physical demands. And with colors, I show you how important they are in competition. So if the preparations. So if you go, for instance, for aerobic system, then a lot of aerobic practice is being done in the early training phase. In the second training phase, it's important, but not that important anymore. Then over here, maintenance, that's what we do. We do strength in the last training phase. So if I send this to you, then you can figure it out yourself, what you have to do in preparation 1 and in preparation 2. Is that clear to you?
Yeah, that was very great. Thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah.
Can I have another questions?
Yes, of course.
For the annual training plans, how many months that you recommend for us to do? I mean, there is like the plan versus realities, right? Sometimes there's several things that we need to readjust it, but how long that we need to evaluate it, like for annual? Maybe is it every 3 months, or is it that 3 months is too long, or it's going to be a monthly basis?
Is your question, is it about evaluation with the players?
Yes, that's correct. Evaluations with the players, and then make sure that we can, I mean, not only evaluation with the players, but how can we synchronize the progress accordingly with what the training goals that what we've planned as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, it depends a little bit on where you are, what kind of players you have.
Yeah.
If I'm, let's say, if I have with high performance players, top level in the world, what I always do is I make a plan for them. Let's say a more year plan. I split it up in 6 months, and then in those 6 months we set product goals. And product goals, it's real results, and process goals, what we need to improve in numbers of in terms of skills, and of course after every event, and those top level players, they are playing, let's say, between 12 and 16 events in a year. After every event, at least we've got some, let's say, small evaluation about the different types of targets. But after every 6 months, we do that again. And we do that not after 6 months, but already at the end of the 6 months to make already the plans for the next 6 months. If you are on a younger age, then and that's depending on the age group and where they are in their talent development scheme, you go more for process goals, so skills development, and maybe less for targets. Also, they play maybe less events, so you don't need to do the evaluation after every event, but at least after 6-7 weeks. That's what I think.
Great. So correct me if I'm wrong. So that means if, let's say, we already have the trainings planned in terms of the skills, because I'm not into the nationals or the high performance yet. I'm more into the juniors kind of zones developments. So if, let's say, we do have a plan, that means we just stick with the training goals that although they go to the competitions, because it's juniors, like what you mentioned, less target. So that means we still need to stick on the skills developments accordingly with the plans is been written and evaluate every 6 months. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, it's 6 months. That's just an example. Huh? It's about if you are working with let's say under 19, then the product targets are already more important, and the process targets may be less important. But if you talk about under 17, under 15, under 13, then you get more. You put more, pressure is a wrong word, but you look more at the process targets, so skills development, and evaluate that with the players. And in that way, the tournaments you are playing, you use them for the development of skills. You're not using them for, of course, it's nice to win. And sport is winning and losing, but for you as a coach, it's those events are more important to see the development of skills than to see, let's say, a huge development in winning and winning and winning.
Noted. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for Mali, because I understand you are from United States. Yes.
That's correct, sir.
Yes, very far from here. Thank you very much. So, Jose, please. Sorry again, problems with your...
Yeah, hello again.
Yes.
Hello, Martin. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. I actually have two questions regarding the timing, first, of the practice. In the example that you gave us before, thinking about a whole session lasting 2.5 hours, pretty much. If we say in the core one, say 3 blocks, 10 sets, 30, 15, considering we have 2 players, that will be about 60 minutes. If we have 3 players, that will go to 80. In the core two, sorry, it's 3 blocks, 7 minutes, 3 players. That will be 65, 70 minutes. So that's pretty much 150. So normally we do have to invest / spend some time in, of course, talking to players, correcting, coaching, So in the end, if we have 10 minutes to warm up, 10 minutes to cool down, some extras, plus all these interruptions that we have to do every day on court, normally we go to probably 3 hours. So what do you normally do? You don't correct, don't spend that time, or you just adjust yourself to the time that you plan, or you just consider a 1-to-1 session, or you do consider these 7 minutes within all the interruptions that you can have? That will be my question number 1. I have another one afterwards.
Okay. Good to see you, Jose.
You too.
Good to see you in Lima.
Yeah.
when I do these exercises, I do not spend a lot of time on let's say interrupting and giving advices, because I think that the exercises should also go continuously. Otherwise, yeah, people are in a situation and out and in and out again, and I think that's disturbing the practice situation. So I will give some comments, of course, but I will try to let's say do that as short as possible, and within those breaks I've mentioned. So people need to be very when I'm there, people need to be very, very focused on in those short breaks what I'm saying. That's correct. If you do these type of exercises with 3 players, and 3 players need to do the same exercise, yeah, I'm not going for an exercise for, let's say, 60 minutes. Then I go for, let's say, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and change as fast as possible. And then I take the second part of the practice a little bit shorter. So in my example, not taking 7 minutes for defense, but taking, for instance, 4 minutes for defense. I'm not going for a practice for, let's say, what I'm saying is 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes. If it's going over 3 hours, then I think focus is already gone.
Okay, thank you. And then my second one would be, there is a small gap between when you were talking about the physical times of practice, like 40 seconds, 45 seconds to 1 minute, aerobic, anaerobic, all that part. So there is always a small gap between aerobic and anaerobic, 25 to 45 seconds, and then the next one will start in 1 minute, for example. There is always this 15 seconds gap, or 15 to 20 seconds in anaerobic, and then 25 seconds. Yeah. So why don't you have it like continuously?
I do that because that's also what we see in matches. You play a rally, and then there is a break because you need to start up the rally again. So for me, it's always practicing as close as possible to the real badminton match, and that's interval. So it's a rally of 25 seconds, 35 seconds, and then a break of 12 seconds, 15 seconds, and continue again.
But I mean, what happens if you want to practice a rally of 55 seconds, 50 seconds? When do you put it? In the anaerobic, aerobic, low aerobic?
That happens.
Maybe coaches are asking, I'm wondering, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't have, let's say, 15 rallies of 55 seconds in a row. So I do that out.
Yeah. Thank you, boss.
Okay.
Thank you. Martin, there is one more question from Peru in chat.
In the chat. Let's have a look.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Martin.
Isaac Ramirez.
Also from Peru.
Yeah, I know him. Hello. Isaac, do you mean physical tests? How often should I apply to athletes with young athletes? Yeah, it depends, of course, a little bit on, let's say, first of all, if you want to see a difference between the results in tests, most physical tests, it will take you about 6 weeks before you see some changes. So don't do the test every week. make a gap of, depending on the test, make a gap of 4 to 6 weeks. Testing with young athletes, and then I mean, let's say 12, 13 years old. If you do an aerobic test, that's not so valuable at all. If you do something like a biometric test on the extensions of joints, that's, yeah, okay, you can test that, but what, how are you using that in your practice? I think always when you do a test, then it should give some value to your practice and you can use it in your practice. So with very young athletes, I'm doing not so much tests, and certainly not on aerobic or anaerobic level. I hope, Isaac, that I understand your question well, and I answered your question.
Okay, then Nishant.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, hi, Martijn. It's good to see you back. Okay, so my question is a bit different. When I see the year plan, and then I can see the pre-competition phase, and then the competition phase starts. So how exactly do you decide that, okay, so this pre-competition phase will be a bit longer, or maybe this will be a bit shorter? And how exactly you're deciding the time phase of the pre-competition phase? This is one question I have, and then after this I can ask one more.
Yeah, okay. That's it's not possible to give one answer on it, because it's depending on your tournament schedule, on your match schedule. So if I have, for instance, we have in March we have the All England and the Swiss Open here in Europe. If we don't have a virus in Europe, then we have in March the All England and Swiss Open, and in April, in the beginning of April, we have the European Championships. So if we want to play both of those events, then we know there is maybe 3 weeks in between. In those 3 weeks, I need to do recovery because I played All England and Swiss Open. I need to do pre-competition, if possible 1 and 2, and then I have to do the competition again. Preparation 1 and 2, pre-competition, and competition again. So yeah, then it's depending on how I see my players coming out of the All England and the Swiss Open. How many days do I need for my recovery? And depending on how many days I need for my recovery, do I do then a preparation? And depending on my evaluation of the All England and the Swiss Open, I fill in my preparation phase and my pre-competition. But it's really depending then on the time I've spent in between, and also how an individual player is coming out of the first 2 events and then has to play in 3 weeks time again on top level. Sometimes you've got just 1 week in between, and what I did in the past was use 1 week to do recovery, pre-competition 1, 2, preparation 1, preparation 2, pre-competition. Yeah. So in 1 week I did a complete cycle. Yes, and it worked. Sometimes, not always. But don't be afraid to try and but based on thinking, not on, okay, I do this and I do that, oh, it will work. No, try to, okay, this is more or less what we theoretically have in mind on physical, technical, and tactical progress. So how can I schedule that for this player or this group of players in this part of the year? So it's not possible to say exactly you need so many days, so many hours. Of course, if you talk about work-rest ratio, then we know, for instance, that for, let's say, hard strength and conditioning practice, you need at least 48 hours to recover. But that is for a certain part of your body, what worked in that strength and conditioning. We also know that you cannot do 2 practices one day and 2 again in the next day and 2 again on day 3, and all are intensity practice. So you need to find out when your players need to go from aerobic, anaerobic to low aerobic. What I always do is, if I have in 2 days 4 practices, the first 3 will be quite intense if I go in the pre-competition phase, and the 4th one will be low aerobic, or at least not really high aerobic, but low aerobic. So to give them, the players, a chance also to recover a bit.
Yeah, because sometimes we go for only one tournament, and sometimes there are some tournaments which is a very back-to-back. I mean, sometimes we have only just 1 or 2 days in between to just travel from one place to another.
Yeah.
That situation we already had passed through in the past, where we were just traveling after one and another tournament to achieve some goals. So that time, I think this was a big challenge, I think, in front of every elite coach, because this is really important, where we also have to ensure that we are performing well in the tournament. So for example, Martijn, how you look at this situation where you have 2 competition back to back? You just have hardly 1 or 2 days in between of one another competition, and then you have enough time before to prepare, but your competition phase will go a bit longer. So how to deal with this?
Yeah, first of all, there is just in men's singles, there could be only 2 persons having a big problems. The ones who are in the final, because they play on Sunday in the afternoon, they have to travel on Monday, and on Tuesday they have to start again. So those are having and the other ones have at least 1 day in between. So I use that for recovery.
Okay.
I use it for recovery, and when you're out in the quarterfinal, then you've got 3 days, and then you can do something. Then you can say, okay, and I take 1 day for a little bit a recovery run, so a little bit exercise and a little bit running, and then I do, let's say, 2 or 3 practices with pre-competition again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Martijn.
So I have not new questions and no raised hands. No raised hands. Maybe we have some experienced coaches. They want to share his experience. Nishant, maybe you have another question. You always have a questions. We have 20 minutes left. We need to use the possibility.
Well, I have a lot of questions. I mean, yes, there's one more big, you can say, myth, or maybe everybody have a different philosophy. For example, my coach used to train me when I was playing the competition. It's my first day, and he used to train me hard in the morning, and evening I have a match. So he used to train us very hard in the gym. I didn't really realize and understand what was the reason behind it. Because in the morning, if you do very heavy your weights or something, and then how you can play in evening. And of course, I mean, sometimes I struggle, but not all the time. But Martijn, how you look at the preparation of the match when we see that how to deal with the physical abilities, like we should train ourselves lighter, or maybe not at all training, or maybe sometimes coaches they train us very hard.
Yeah, for me that's really individual. I know that you've got players who don't want to practice at all during on the day they are playing. I know that, and most of the players I'm practicing with were doing this always when they had to play. Let's say around 11 or 12 in the morning, or maybe early in the afternoon. We went to the hall, 9 o'clock in the morning, just for half an hour, have some feeling with the shuttle, and that's it. And maybe when you have some feeling with the shuttle, then also try to do a couple of things you want to do in the match. So if so, my game plan is having a lot of stick smashes. Okay, then we do a little bit stick smashes in the preparation in the morning, something like that. But I also know that players they wanted to go on court. They did a very good warming up, and they wanted to play for 10-15 minutes, really hard, to wake up their body.
But what about the physical? Because sometimes we have a gym in the hotel where we are staying, and maybe in that stadium as well where we're having the matches. And then do you prefer to have a weight training in the the day you're playing?
No, not at all.
Okay, because this is what the challenge. Some coaches they train really hard, and some coaches they don't. So
Yeah,
this
it's
is,
it's we had a question of Malik Basri from United States, and he was talking, of course, about the youth players, and I said, okay, but the development of skills is in that part of their development is more important than getting results. Um, yes, sometimes during an event you practice and you do strength training because the result is at that time maybe not important, but the result has to come in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, and you are using this tournament to as a kind of practice tournament.
yeah.
That's possible, of course.
Okay, still I waiting for questions from you. I have some also over my questions about something similar like Nishant asked. So if I know that my players will play very early or also very late, I remember my last visit in French Open, there was a last match started half past midnight. Or some matches start also at 9 o'clock in the morning. Especially if we are living there, but traveling in the United States or in Asia, it's somehow we can prepare for this.
Yeah, of course you can do that. Most of the time in those events, you know your time of playing the evening before. So when you know that you have to play at 9 o'clock in the morning, yes. According to the books, you have to wake up 4 hours before. So if you have to play at 9, you should stand up. you have to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody, of course, I never met people who are doing this, but at least try to be awake before 7 o'clock, so that you can, that you have time to wake up your body, that you have time to do your breakfast and things like that. But officially, you should be awake 4 hours before you have to play. I think you can see that also on people just going to their normal work. When are they most productive? Around 11 o'clock, and they start at 8:30, and they wake up at 7. So it's exactly the same in sport. And if you have to play very, very late after 11 o'clock, yes, try to sleep a little bit in the afternoon. And don't come to the hall before, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, because sitting in the hall is at that time of the day, it's very exhausting if you are not active, because your brain is starting already to make the melatonin. That's the drug who is getting you in sleep. So stay away from the hall, come in at 9, maybe 10 o'clock and play 11:30, something like that.
Okay, Martin, but the question was not only about how to prepare one day before. The question is, do we need to practicing something similar or before? Like, so if you know that your player is for qualification, that usually they start at 9 o'clock, maybe we can prepare for this regime also before.
Yes, of course, but it's the practice I was doing with the Netherlands team was always starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. So in fact, we did that already, because day in, day out, they have to be in the hall at 7:45, and they have to be ready to at 8 o'clock to start their practice. So they were already ready to play at 8 o'clock and not at 9 o'clock. If you look at, sometimes I see schedules of teams, and they start to practice 10 o'clock in the morning, because then they can sleep late and have a nice breakfast. Yes, that's very nice. But the reality is, like you said, you come to a tournament, and the first day matches are starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you have to be prepared to play at 9 o'clock. And if you are not used to do that, then it's very difficult to learn that within 1 or 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yep.
So still no other questions? Also not in chat, in the YouTube.
Okay, it was very clear, I suppose.
I hope there will be some more. Nishant, maybe you again. So Malik is ready to ask again. Thank you. Okay, Malik.
Yeah.
Malik,
Just another question. Just wants to know, from your experience when you're doing the annual planning, as much as we have definitely not 1 or 2, we have several players in it. What is the best way for us to make the plan, which is all these players comes with the different skills, and how we can manage everything can go to the common goals?
Yeah. But I think that's the big puzzle you have as a coach. Yes, you have different players in your group, but probably all of those players are going to play the same events. And in the United States, you've got some. You're from the Orange County region or San Francisco. Where are you from?
I'm from East Coast. I live in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Right on the capital.
Yeah. Okay. Good place to live now, eh? Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, but you've got you've got probably your events calendar over there. So you work with your group of players to more or less the same events. So if you, and I don't know how old your players are, but if you want to do some physical cycles in that, then you could do exactly the same physical cycle for each player. But probably you want to learn or to do different skills with them. So then you have to, like I said in my example, if you have one player with more focus on the forehand in the back, and one player more on focus on net shots, you can do exactly the same type of exercises, 1 against 2, with the same cycle of rally length and repetitions and series, but just instruct the players who are feeding more to play to the net or more to play in the back. And in fact, you are getting exactly the same exercise, but it's different for both players. And in that way, you can vary, of course, and work on skills of every player separate.
I see.
Is that clear for you?
Yeah. So that means it's a matter of how we design the trainings in order to be
Exactly.
able to.
One of the things I was saying after at the end was, and it's let's see, it was over here. This one. What method am I using, and how different training for different players? But what method am I using? Rallies or am I using multis? I could do exactly the same exercise in a way of multi feeding, and I can do it also in a rally form. But that's where you have to choose and see what how it fits to each player. So differentiate in your training if you go for different players.
Yep. Thank you so much, sir. That was great.
Okay.
Thank you. So we are now 7 minutes left before end of seminar. So maybe there is some questions from Ivan, our veteran, also Puri from Indonesia. I saw your hair. You was also always save us with your questions.
I see that.
Ivan, yes, thank you, Ivan. Please.
Hello, can you see me, hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We don't see you, but we.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice to hear. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you all here again. Yeah, I have a few questions. First of the question is about learning new skills. When and how much in your period of the trainings take, for example, competition or recovery or pre-competition, do you use learning new skills the same time in the training? For example, 2.5 hours, you take 20 minutes for the learning new skills in competition time, or you take in recovery time, this one more time for learning new skills. Because in my opinion, in the competition time, even in pre-competition time, learning new skills is quite difficult, especially in the younger ages. What is your opinion about this one? Because I'm thinking that in recovery time, we have more time to learning new skills, and this is period where is the most important to put it, this one. This is one thing. After this, I have one more simple question.
Okay, I think you're completely right. In the competition phase and pre-competition, I never learn new skills. What I do over there is apply new skills. So in preparation 1 and 2, if I learn new skills, I want them to apply those skills in preparation. In pre-competition 1 and into competition. Also in preparation. No. Preparation 1 and 2 is learning, and pre-competition is applying. That's what I most of the time are using. And of course, you can do that in the recovery also as well. Yeah.
Okay. And before the tournament, do you use the trainings, for example, that you use skills that the players take, the more confident in some shots? Which one is not that they run a lot on the court in the exercises? Each one you choose just 1 point or one shot. Which one they use it like 5 minutes or 7 minutes for the one exercise, and in competition period. And for example, maybe this last 10 minutes, which one you use for the training before cooling down, and they use, for example, girls, they say, I don't have a lot of confidence in my drop shot, and I want to, before the tournament, I want to do it maybe 5 or 10 minutes on the end of the training. This one, like for more confident before the tournament.
If I understand right, is you're asking me how I use that extra time?
No. Do you use this one also in the training, and how long you want to spend the time on this one? Because
like I said, I've got more or less a schedule in timing in total, and I always have built in some extra time. I can say, okay, players, what do you like to practice a little bit to get some confidence? Or I can choose together with the players to play singles or whatever. But I need that extra time to do things like you are saying now. If somebody is coming to, hey coach, I want to do this drop shot a little bit more, or this smash a little bit more, because it gives me confidence. Yes, I use that, of course.
Okay, and the one question, how, in your opinion, what is enough time for the players to, for example, when they travel on the tournaments from Europe to Asia or any other like intercontinental flights, how much time is enough to prepare and for the teams, for the players, for the tournament, before the tournament? Because somebody travel like 3 days before, somebody travel 6 days before, or for example, World Junior Championship or something like this. Which one is for you? What is enough time to travel before on the tournament?
Okay, if we look into science, then we know that for every hour in time difference, you need 1 day to accommodate. So if there's a time difference of 6 hours, you have to be there 6 days before. Of course, when players start to do this, first of all, they don't have the time to do it. And secondly, they are getting experienced. So I always go for, let's say, 50% of this. So if there's a time difference of 6 hours, then I go there for three days before. So if you have to start on Tuesday morning, I want to be there on Friday evening.
Okay, we have a question from Lebanon. Please, Grace.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm from Lebanon, Asia. Actually, I have a question about the intensity of training. You mentioned about the intensity of exercises should be similar to the match length, about 30 minutes to 60 minutes. But actually, back in here, we're still in the development stage, and our national tournament are played until 11 points or 15 points, which make the match length until between 10 and 15 minutes. So my question is, should I train my players in that intensity, or should I do it for the 30 minutes? So maybe later they will be ready for the higher level.
I would suggest that you do the last one. Because if you do the last one, then they are prepared to go for international badminton. And if they practice that, then it's easy for them to play the tournaments in your country because it's just 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I would go for, let's say, the international standard.
So between 30 and 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't go for 60 minutes, go for 30 minutes. And that's twice your length already. So go for 30 minutes to start with.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Martin, we have also one more question from Mexico.
Okay.
In the chat. Can you read yourself?
Yes, Jennifer. Hello, Tijuana, the intensity of training in short, prolonged use high intensity. The intensity of training in short or prolonged exercises use high intensity. If I read the question well, then the question is, am I using always high intensity? No. I'm not. I'm not using high intensity always, because if I go for high intensity, then I'm always high in anaerobic area, and sometimes I want to be just on, let's say, high aerobic area to practice also the aerobic part of your physical thresholds. So the intensity will not always very high. It can vary. I hope, Jennifer, that I understand your question well.
I hope as well. So it's 5 o'clock in Latvia and 4 o'clock in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for all participants. As usually we do, we will send you materials tomorrow morning, and then we also decide about next seminars. Once more, thank you, Martin, and thank you all participants. See you in next seminars.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.